today?
Well, how are you?
Good. It's so nice to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Oh, if you would start us off by telling people who you are and what you do and how you got into the mortgage industry.
Sure. So my name is Leora Ruzin, CMB. I am the Director of Real Estate Lending at Valley First Credit Union, which is a state charter credit union in the state of California. We're in the Central Valley. Sorry about the cat in the background. In addition to that, I'm also the managing editor of Mortgage Women magazine, which is a passion project of mine. I've been writing for the magazine for several years, and they asked me to take over as managing editor at the beginning of this year. So I've been in the mortgage industry now a little over 13 years, and I got into it the way that most people do, completely by accident. My background is accounting and HR. And so I started my mortgage career working for a mortgage banker in Aurora, Colorado, doing their accounting and their HR and all of that. And within a few months, they started asking me if I'd be interested in learning more about what the business was about, what was paying my bills on a daily basis. And so I started getting into the mortgage side of the house, and that, as they say, the rest is history. I was hooked from that moment forward. So I started out on the ops side, and that's where I've always lived. So only recently did I get my originator license, and so now I'm also originating for the first time in 13 years. So it's pretty exciting.
Welcome to this side.
Yeah, so now
and it's so funny because every single woman we've interviewed has been like, I didn't mean to go into the mortgage industry. I just fell on in.
Yeah, it's not something you go to college for, right? You don't wake up and graduate from high school and go, you know what, I'm going to be an LO. I'm going to go annoy people into buying houses and refinance. And so, but now that I'm in this business, I couldn't imagine working anywhere else. And now I'm back in the credit union space, which I'm really happy about because we really get to affect positive change at the local level, at the community level. And it really is so much more than just doing mortgages. I'm learning about doing business loans through the SBA and learning about how all of the other lines of business affect what I can do as the director of real estate lending. So it's been an amazing experience so far. It's been frustrating too. I moved out here at the beginning of February and everything just went absolutely crazy not too long after that. So it's been interesting trying to build a mortgage operation from the ground up during a pandemic. It's not something I would recommend to anybody, but here we are, and we're still making it work. So,
wow, that's amazing. So, resiliency. That's like your keyword right there. Resiliency. Yes.
Tattooed somewhere. Yeah.
For sure. Over and over again. So you have this. That's such a great story, and it just ties into our first question so much. So how can women producers be brave in the mortgage industry and ask for what they need?
So really, it's about asking for what they need and not being afraid to get out there, especially during a time like right now where there's so many areas that are on lockdown. So you can't get that face-to-face contact that you need. Yeah. So it's being able to feel comfortable in your own skin, being who you are, and getting out there on social media, getting out there on LinkedIn and start advocating for yourself because no one else is going to do it for you, especially right now, because everybody's just trying to get through this. And so it's just, you have to be able to put your big girl pants on and not let what's currently going on be an excuse to not do your job and to not get out there and provide a service to your customers, to your members. And so it's just, you have to speak. You have to be able to speak and ask for what you need and not assume that it's just going to come to you.
I love that you said that because there's a video of me from years ago when I was a lobbyist, and it was the 5 things you should never do as a citizen lobbyist. And it's this sort of, Google it, it's hilarious. All y'all who are watching this, it's a great video. It's so funny. But one of the things I said at the very end of the video is that house, the Capitol, right? It's your house. And if you pay for it. And if you don't go there and use your voice, nobody else is going to do it for, nobody else is going to use your voice for you. It's your voice. You have to speak it out. And so I love that you said no one else is going to advocate for you. Like this is yours.
And that was a lesson that took me a long time to understand. a couple of years ago, I went through a really difficult time in my career, lost a job after moving my family, and really felt like I had hit the bottom. And in hindsight, I definitely did hit the bottom. And I spent a few months just feeling sorry for myself and thinking, wow, I must have done everything I could, and I got let go anyway. And then I started reaching out to some people that I trusted and respected and said, look, I'm in this bad place and I don't know what to do. And they said, well, first of all, you need to stop feeling sorry for yourself and you need to accept responsibility for what happened with the job loss. Understand that this is an opportunity for you to learn and to grow. And moving forward, you need to start doing more to advocate for yourself. And so that's what I've done. One of my favorite articles that I wrote for Mortgage Women magazine was called 2019, the Year of Me. And what that was me putting it out there to the universe that I'm making 2019 the year of me. I'm going to spend time, I'm going to spend money, I'm going to do whatever I can to invest in myself, to make myself a better mortgage professional, a better wife, a better mother, and to stop making excuses and to stop thinking everything is just going to come to me. I need to go out there and make it happen myself and be that voice, because no one else is going to be that voice for me.
Right.
And by putting it out there in the universe, everyone else was like, okay, you've put it out here. What are you going to do with it? And so I've had a lot of people hold me accountable, which is exactly what I was looking for. But it's helped pave the way for so many amazing things.
I think that's the hardest part for a lot of women, is speaking up, right? And asking what you need for what you need. So that's cool. That's really great. What do you wish you'd known when you started your career?
How to be a business owner, because that's the one thing that I didn't really understand. And so I would always question some of the things that my bosses were doing because I didn't know what it was like to be a business owner. And so I didn't understand how my actions can affect someone else's job, someone else's department. And so just having the core fundamentals of what it is to run a business is crucial, especially as you move up in the leadership roles, with the hopes to get that C-suite position, which is something that I'm still actively working towards. So just having those basic business fundamentals is something I wish I had had in the beginning, because it took me a long time to really understand that it's not just about me. It's not just about my department. There's a whole business we're trying to run. And this is why we have to expense things this way. This is why margins are where they are. This is why we select the vendors that we select. And so just having that better understanding of just what it is to run a business would have been really helpful.
Nice.
Yeah, so much.
I think it was easier for me to sell when I understood how rates worked. Right? The back end side of it, packaging all of those mortgage-backed securities and shipping them off and how they're sold and the different percentage rates, how they're all shipped to different places. And it's a very intricate and detailed process. And it does make it easier to explain to your borrowers then. And it gives your borrowers confidence when you know how it works.
Right. And I also think that loan officers appreciate the transparency. So when they're told, this is why rates are where they are, this is why our margins are where they are, because we have to run a business. This is how much it costs to run a business. This is how much it costs to acquire your leads and the marketing and the advertising that it takes to run this ship. And so LOs can't just say, oh, they're just pocketing all the money and we're stuck with these crappy rates and we're not making any money. And so just having that transparency and that visibility, it just levels the playing field for everybody. And then LOs can say, well, have you thought about this? And have you thought about that? And here's where the market is. And this is why I need rates to be here. And so it's just having that open communication and open dialogue, which is super helpful, especially during times like right now where volume is insane and everyone's fighting for that same rate that everybody's got. So it's crazy.
Absolutely.
So much. What words of advice do you have for a woman who's looking to change companies? I mean, you've changed companies
recently
times in your career, and most recently, like right before a pandemic, like, woo! So what's through? Like, what words of advice do you have for women who are thinking about moving about?
So really, I think and this was something that took a long time for me to really understand too, is I was always looking for that next position, that level up, and and looking for that perfect company. And the reality is that perfect company doesn't exist, even if it's your company, you know, there's always going to be room for improvement and room for growth. So for me, I had to really take a step back and go, do I need this right now? What is it? Why am I always looking for a new job? What is the core reason why I can't seem to be happy where I'm at? And it has boiled down to culture. It's not about how much money I'm making. It's not about getting that title on next to my name or any of that. It came down to, am I working for a company that appreciates me, who supports me, who will give me opportunities to grow and advance and make me feel like I am truly part of a family and not just a company, not just an employee number. And so that's what made me realize that I belonged back in the credit union space, because that culture is natural to being in the credit union space. It's about family, it's about community. And working for really large independent mortgage bankers, it's not always about that. It's just about breaking records and making money. And that's, you know, as I've gotten older and as I've gone through some personal things in my life over the last, you know, year, I've realized it's not about the money for me either. It's about feeling like I'm giving back and that the work that I'm doing is going to be recognized and accepted and appreciated. So my advice is to really sit down and ask yourself, why? Why are you looking to switch? Why can't you find your happiness? Why can't you find your joy? And if it's always going to be that central theme, then that's the company that you need to look for. And if you can't find it, maybe you should just do it on your own.
I love that. I mean, because I think for some people, the culture of that big mortgage company and that big movement, like they thrive in that and they love it. And I think the thing I love about all of these interviews that we're doing, and especially this message that you're putting out, is, you know, where you're comfy, you know, where your zone is, you know, where your zone of genius is. Like, it's in that credit union space where you're doing that community level work. And I think owning that and recognizing it takes that angst away, and you stop looking for the next perfect thing because you've already got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And yeah, I'm really happy to be where I am at Valley First. We're doing some really amazing things, and we have a CEO who just she's a woman who I admire a great deal, who's not your typical credit union CEO. You know, credit unions have this stigma of being stuffy and old and slow to adapt to change. Which is true. I've been at, you know, a couple of places where that was definitely prevalent. Your board of directors was usually filled with folks who have been in the business a long time but may not really understand what it takes to run a credit union. And so working at a place like Valley First, it's a completely different atmosphere. And Catherine Davis, who's the CEO, just celebrated her first year with the credit union. And just in her first year, she's made some phenomenal forward-thinking changes. And that's exactly the kind of person I want to work for. She's going to open up a whole bunch of new doors for us and for our members. And so I'm so happy to be back in that space and be working for a credit union that's really looking to make those changes. Even right now, we're not letting this pandemic get in the way of us giving back. And so we got the approval to do PPP loans through the SBA. And so we're filling that need for members when they're not getting it from the big banks right now. Sorry, my cat's trying to destroy my setup here.
Okay. That's okay. I got dogs walking behind me. So.
And I got my gray hair.
We're just hanging out. We're just hanging out, having a good time.
Oh, yeah. Goodness. But if we can get through this, I can only imagine what it's going to be like on the other side. And that's what really has me super excited.
So it's a connection to leadership too that you like. It's not just the community. It's the connection with who you're working for and that vision matching. And I think that's awesome. That's really great. I'm really happy for you.
Yeah, I have such great support from my boss and with Catherine, and having that support is really what's been lacking in my career, is having leadership that I can trust and respect, for sure.
Is that new for you? Feeling like you have leadership you can trust?
It is. The last time I felt that was the last time I was at a credit union. So I don't know if that's a common denominator, but it's just a different vibe. It's a different and maybe it's because they're smaller and it is community based, that they understand it starts with your employees. And if your employees are happy and thriving and feel like that they can move and grow, that they can give that back to the membership and give that back to the community. It's difficult to come into work every day when you think your boss hates you, or when you know your boss hates you, or they're just wanting you gone, and they don't share your vision, and they don't seem to just really care. And so it's difficult to put on a smiley face every day when you don't feel like you have that support that you need. And having that now, even now, just it has been a huge lift for me. So I'm very happy that we made this switch and moved out here to California. So, yeah.
So what's your favorite negotiating secret?
I'm funny. I like to be goofy. And so I try to put humor into everything that I do. And it's, I don't know, it's hard for people to say no to me when I'm being goofy. I don't. But the other thing is, when I'm trying to negotiate, I'm a very analytical person. So I was in the military. My MOS was an intel analyst. So I'm analyzing everything that I do. And so when I come to the negotiating table, I come with facts. I come with data. I come with the why. This is why I need it. I don't need it just because it sounds great. I don't need it just because I need more money. I need it because of X and Y and Z. And so when I come prepared, but I don't come like all stuffy and cold, it's just levels the playing field, and it kind of disarms the negotiator a little bit better. So, but I found when you come prepared, it's much more difficult for people to say no. But then I also have to be open to that negotiation, know what my highs are, know what my lows are, and knowing that if we meet in the middle, then everything is great. Ask for the moon and be okay if you end up right here a little bit. So.
Love it. That's great. What is one empowering idea you want to share with women producers?
So I've always believed in leading with empathy, and so I think women have a unique advantage as salespeople, as originators, to bring that empathy to the table when working for your customers and working for your borrowers. And so we can speak to that emotional connection that comes with buying a home or refinancing and putting yourself in a better financial position. And they're more pragmatic in that way. So I think women should come to the table with what we already have equipped, which is that passion and that emotion and that empathy that not everybody has. And so that's always been my secret tool. And people may call me soft, but I don't care, because I'm an empathetic person. I'm a feeling person, and that's never going to change. And that's always worked well for me.
And that is a theme too. That's a theme we've heard. It's okay to be feeling. You don't have to be all business. You can function from a place of empathy and love, right?
Actually, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we're all just human beings trying to make it in this world and make our mark. And we have to be able to connect in that way. We don't always have to be so cold and calculating. We can lead with feeling and with love. It's something that I'm very passionate about, and I'm never going to change. This is who I am. So.
Hey, so I would love for you to talk a little bit about Mortgage Women's Magazine, and a little bit about that, and talk to people about it. It's the official media sponsor of our Women Producers in Mortgage Conference that's coming up in February of 2022. So can you talk a little bit more about the magazine and what you put out into the world?
Sure. So we're a bi-monthly publication, so we publish every other month, and the magazine is actually going through a bit of an evolution right now. The magazine's been in existence now for about 7 years. It's managed by 1211 Media, and we've gone through some different iterations and evolutions in the magazine over that 7-year period. It was initially managed by Tammy Butler. Kristen Meserly took over as managing editor about 3 years ago. And during that time, the content shifted more towards women's empowerment and giving women the tools to find their voice, negotiating, all of those things that are, not always inherent in being a woman, giving the women the tools to be able to do that. But we kind of got away from being a Mortgage Women magazine publication. So with me taking over as managing editor, we're making a shift back to some of those more core fundamentals of what it is to run a mortgage operation, but with that female perspective, to give women the tools that they need to better manage a processing department, closing department, and so on and so forth. And we still have some of those core columns that women really enjoy and resonate with, such as mortgage moms and leading women and trailblazers. So those will always be the core pillars of the magazine. But then every issue is a different part of the origination process. So our July issue is about originations, and then our September issue is underwriting and career development. And I'm always looking for new contributors. I'm always looking for fresh voices. What's been amazing for me is I can pinpoint when my career started to really make a positive change, and it was when I started writing for Mortgage Women magazine. And at the time, it was Tammy Butler as the managing editor, and she gave me an opportunity that nobody else had given me. And she found out about my writing because I used to write for the Denver Broncos as a beat writer. And she found some of my content on Twitter, and she said, "You seem to know a lot about football. That's interesting." And she goes, "Would you be interested in writing about mortgages?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And that's what springboarded my writing career. And I want to give other women that same opportunity that she gave me. And so I'm not always looking for the same people that are always writing content. I'm looking for the new voices, the next generation of mortgage women who are currently going through their career development and helping them find those tools so they can be better professionals with their companies. So it's an exciting change, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it evolves throughout the next year.
That's awesome.
So it now explains your LinkedIn background too, the Broncos LinkedIn background.
Yeah, born and raised in Colorado, and I've attended a game as a member of the press. So it's I'll always love my Broncos, and I'll always appreciate those beginnings, because that's where why I'm here today doing what I'm doing. So even though they're just absolutely horrible now, at least I have that.
They all go through waves. It's okay.
Where can people connect with you?
Sure. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can just look for me, Leora Ruzin, on LinkedIn. You can follow me on Twitter, but I'm either ranting about the next stupid move the Broncos made, or I try not to get too political on social media. But you can find me on Twitter, Leora Kitty 78, because I'm the crazy cat lady, and that's my Instagram handle as well.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Yes, it was a pleasure to finally meet you too, and I'm so happy. Thank you for having me.
Thank you
for being here.
Yeah.